Hey YouTube, Dan Otto here, coming at you with my bulky Great League team that I use in the Go Battle weekend. So let's get into the battles, and I will go over what I do moving forward in all of my videos now. Go over why the team works, how I built it, pros and cons of each Pokemon, and final thoughts on the team, and then random thoughts afterwards. So, team bulk. I built this team primarily because Noctowl was everywhere, and I wanted something that could all three Pokemon can at least somewhat deal with it, right? I didn't want to have like resisted Shadow Claws from Sableye or just getting like walled like with a fighter. So I was looking through my Pokemon, and Azumarill was the first one that came up. Okay, Azumarill, Ice Beam. I used sometimes Play Rough, sometimes Hydro Pump, but I'm like, you know what? Beats the fighters as a fairy, does well with the flyers with the Ice Beam. Play Rough or Hydro Pump, depending on which one I use, is strong overall. And then I was looking through my Pokemon. I'm like, okay, what's it weak to? It's weak to grass. I'm like, okay. I don't want to do like just like a ice, like a bomb of snow in my last video, because I want something that's not weak to fight, super weak to fighting if I don't have to be. And I was looking through my Pokemon, and then I was like, okay, how about I think I went to Umbreon next, because Umbreon, I was like, Azumarill is going to have a bit of problems with the steals. It's going to have a bit of problems with the grass, and then I was just like, I just want something general. And then one of the old teams was Azumarill, Umbreon, and then I forget what the third was. Maybe Registeel back in the day. ABB, yeah, maybe Registeel back in the ABB. So I'm like, okay, let's go Umbreon. You are weak to fighting, so Medichamp's gonna be a bit of an issue. But like, I've played the Medichamp matchup. You can get it down to like the red with all the foul plays. You're neutral, like again, the steals, you stay in there because you could just snarl foul play spam, and you're super bulky, you could take multiple charge moves usually. And I was looking through all my other bulky Pokemon, and I was like, you know what, Cress worked super well as like a Swampert Lantern answer, right? Because if I'm going to be Azumarill super weak to Lantern, I need a Lantern answer. So Cress was Lantern answer. So it's bulky team, and also the Pokemon in the back. I mentioned in my previous videos that I like having sort of like a safe swap on the front, like Azumarill, even against like grass type Pokemon, you have the Ice Beam and Bulk to stay in there for the unless it's like a Shadow Vic, you should be okay to stand for most matchups. And then the back two cover each other weaknesses. Cresselia is weak to Dark and Ghost, and Umbreon should deal with most of those. So balanced team in the back. Pros and cons of each Pokemon. So the biggest pro of all of them is their bulk. Azumarill is such a tricky one because it's still sort of top ranked, but it's fallen off a lot. It was number one in the Great League forever. I still think it has a lot of play, especially with like the Medicham, Noctowls everywhere. But Lanterns is a huge issue. That's why you kind of have to run Play Rough, or else you have absolutely nothing to throw at the Lantern here. But I have used both. Yeah, see, I've got Ice Beam, Hydro Pump on this, and then I'll go over Crest 1 second. So it's a good answer for Noctowl, or like flyers in general. It's bulky enough. You deal with fighters. Bubble is the worst fast move in the world. I hate it. I hate how slow it is. It's a very slow, boring Pokemon. It's easy to count. 5 for Ice Beam, 6 for Play Rough on the first, 5 on the second, 7 for Hydro Pump. So it's easy to count. So it's easier to like catch. Bubble's like a 3 turn fast move. So Azumarill's like a very easy Pokemon to go against as well, because it's just like very easy to count. Slow on the energy generation for those, and it's just kind of like a boring Pokemon. But it has play in the meta. I'm not going to go over Crest too much because I went over Crest in my last video. Again, great answer for Lantern, great in Medicham as well, just like walls those two Pokemon. This matchup like is super tough. Like you can spam these grass knots, but it's not going to do anything. Umbreon is one of those Pokemon where the fairies are kind of gone now, right? I've seen a couple, but I have not seen many. This is not looking great. But look, this is what Umbreon does, right? It can just tank a ton of neutral situations. These foul plays do spam like a decent amount. You'll get a few. I'll get at least 3 off here, which is great. Weak to Medicham. It doesn't have like, the thing with Umbreon is, unless it's like a Trevenant, which you just like dominate Trevenant, and you do well against Sableye too, but Sableye can still hit you for the return. It doesn't have like, you're not like, oh, I got to get my Umbreon on this Pokemon, right? It just is a Pokemon that can absorb damage, hang in with most Pokemon, do a bunch of chip damage, maybe grab a shield. And that's kind of how I use it, just like as a well-rounded Pokemon where it's like, and this one I do have Hydro Pump, which is, I will need it here. It's just like a well-rounded Pokemon that can almost hang in with almost anything, right? Unless it's like a fighter, pure fighter, or dark fighter is actually even worse. Or fairy. Like those are the ones you need to watch out for. Everything else, you're just like, yeah, I can hang in with you. That's fine. Like, so, and that's kind of what the strength is. Again, this team it did okay with it. Like I didn't do amazing. I'm not going to pretend like this is one of the greatest teams all the time. Bulk teams are obviously better that you can just kind of like think things through. You don't need to shield all the time. You just kind of like know, you can like think more in the matchup through of like when I need to shield, when I don't need to shield, stuff like that. So yeah, that is the team. Leads, and again, this is one of the Pokemon, and I'm going to mention this in a lot of videos moving forward. I've gone away. I'm gonna sound like a broken record saying this so many times. I've gone away from like this team doesn't really have a safe swap. Well, I think Umbreon would be. No, I may use Cress. Cress and Umbreon are just like both so bulky. Like even if you get a bad matchup, you're fine. Sort of, you're not fine, but like you can probably tank a super effective move on both of these with ease, sort of thing. Which is why like both can be safe swaps. And that's the thing, like unless it's like a pure grass, even I would probably even stay in with Trevenant, quite honestly, right? Because you can't, like, because if they have a Trevenant, they probably have an answer for like Umbreon to a certain extent. And then you can't have your Trevenant get on like the first two Pokemon. So I would honestly just stay in with Azumarill, throw an Ice Beam. You can tank minimum 1 Seed Bomb, probably 2, given this bulk. If you have like a 114-15 IV, that's like level 47 or something, like you can tank a lot on this Azumarill. So unless it's like unless it's a Lantern or a Shadow Vic, I'm probably, or Venusaur, even Venusaur, I'd probably start and get a nice beam off and take a couple. I take a Frenzy, you can live one for sure. So so those are the only two I'd like bail. If it's a Lantern, Cress or Umbreon. I think I can use either as a safe swap. There's no real go-to safe swap here. You can use Cress or Umbreon. Umbreon, you're probably going to pull out like a fighter. And yeah, Cress, you're maybe going to pull out like a Sableye or a... What else could they possibly have? That'd be Frostlass to a certain extent, Sableye, Trevenant. Anything that's like Ghost or Dark, you're going to pull out there. So that is the team. Noctowl matchup obviously is great. You stand there, and then here we go. Perfect. Great alignment there. They can only throw Seed Bombs. It's going to take like, I don't know, 4 Seed Bombs to take you out probably, because the claws are resisted. And by that time, you can just foul play once and then snarl all the way down and have some energy coming out. So when building a team, so this is team bulk. So here's actually a con to this team that I've just kind of looked at it and thought of more. When you're running a team bulk like this, unless it's like, well, I don't want to say you're not going to get shield pressure, but like Hydro Pump will get shield pressure if you can land it on like if they know you have it and you're going to land it on, even Hydro Pump on most things, it hurts. Moonblast to a certain extent hurts too. For the most part, these Pokemon don't. When you have, this is why Noctowl is so OP right now. A lot of these bulkier Pokemon do not hit super hard, right? You have like these 3, Metachamp, like the counters do most of the damage, like Ice Punch, Psychic does okay, but like Ice Punches you don't need to respect or anything, right? What other bulky Pokemon are there? Like Diggersby besides Earthquake, Bastiodon, like even Stone Edge doesn't hurt. So a lot of these bulky Pokemon don't have the attack stats to go with it. Noctowl, why it's OP right now is because not only does it have the bulk to like take, it needs 3 Rock Slides from Galarian Stunfisk to take it out. The Sky Attack and Shadow Ball with its attack stats are actually pretty deadly. I just started using it this morning. I swore against it. I'm like, I don't want to be that person that uses Noctowl. And then I used it and I'm like, holy smokes, this thing is tanky. It charges so fast. It gets to the move so well. like it's these moves and the sky attacks like hurt. It's not like a like an aerial ace. The sky attack does decent damage. So that's why I sort of Noctowl as like a bulky Pokemon that can still do damage is pretty strong. So I don't love a team with three Pokemon on it because you don't have much to threaten with charge moves. I wouldn't like Noctowl at least threatens to a certain extent. So I think you can. It's okay to have like one or two of these Pokemon on the team. I would probably take one of these out and add something that's going to get a little more shield pressure. And that's why a lot of the strategies is have something like a Swampert on the lead, right? Swampert on the lead where you can just like spam hydro cannons, force shields, and then don't take a move on Swampert, but catch the move on Cresselia or Umbreon and have them act as like sponges, right? Because they don't have like absorb it on Umbreon. No, because then you're gonna get lit up by Trevenant. So again, you can't use that exact same team because Trevenant would just destroy Swampert and Cress. But you get my idea, right? You just like spam the hydro cannons, absorb the energy on one of your bulkier Pokemon, and then hope that your Swampert / one of these can just like spam enough to take it out. So that is it. No time for extra thoughts. We are done. We are at the end of the video. So appreciate the thumbs up, comments, and subscribe if you're new. And I will see you guys in the next one.